If you're from my era of music fandom, I bet we have something in common. Actually, I bet we have a couple of things in common, and one of those things is random chronic back pain. What's going on? I ain't getting old. What's going down? Anyway, besides that, the one thing that I'm sure that y'all can relate with is that we all loved a dope remix back in our day. Yes, a remix. I loved them because we got a hit song that was in most cases usually pretty good as it is, and then an artist would come and they would put a new imagination on it. Sometimes it would have a different beat. A lot of times it would have new guests on it. Sometimes it'd be a completely different concept, but in many ways it beat the original. Sometimes, but sometimes the original was too good to be messed with. So there was always this battle. What's better, the remix or the original? And that's what we're going to talk about today here, players. We're going to look at 15 classic songs with classic remixes and see which ones hold up and stand the test of time. It's original recipe versus the new mix. Let's see which one tastes the best. What up, players, and welcome to another edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions. I missed y'all. I hope you missed me, but we are back with a banger. Before we get started, I got to address the elephant in the room because some of you hear me and like, what's up with this dude's voice? I'm just getting over it, the flu. So it's all good, not contagious, not that you're going to get it from the screen, but I sound worse than I am. So if there's a little bit of Marge Simpson in there, we just going to rock it because we got some dope stuff to talk about today. And when we talk about dopeness, I mentioned it earlier. We're going to look back at some very, very memorable remixes and their original versions and see which one holds up the best. So I took 15 songs at random. Y'all all know these songs, and we're going to see which one is which one is better, which one is not so good. They're all good in most cases, but we'll see which one is better. Before we get started, though, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping. Y'all know how it is. If you are here for the first time, thank you so much. If you're here for the 100th time, thank you so much. But either way, you should be hitting that subscribe button. Make sure that you hit that button because it shows us some love and it shows YouTube some love to get this video out there to encourage us, me and my boy D Roth, to do more videos for y'all. Make sure you like this video as well. It's just a simple click. Go ahead and click it now. I promise you're going to like it. And when it's done, be sure to share it with the R&B and hip hop head in your life because I know they're going to have opinions on this one. So without any further ado, if my voice holds up, let's go through 15 hip hop and R&B songs that got some dope remixes and see if the original is as dope as the new mix. So first up is Mariah Carey and Fantasy. Now the original was a pop R&B smash. I remember it very well in '95. I was at my grandma's house the first time I heard it. It was great. I knew it was dope off the rip. Very dope song, very defining song for her career. But she went around and flipped it with the Bad Boy remix, and we got one of the most insane duos of all time with Mariah Carey and ODB. That was mind-blowing. Sweet Lil Mariah, insane Lil ODB, and then you got the new video. The original video was like at a kind of like a festival or carnival type thing, an amusement park. And then when ODB had his version, he had the clown tied up. I thought it was so beautifully done, so well done. I love both these songs, but which one hits harder? The very sweet pop and B, I mean, it was a bop before we knew that word, or the more hip-hop edge one? I'm gonna go with the remix on this one. Yes, we're going with the remix. It kept the energy of the original, but it added that new layer, just a slight bit of edge to it that really pushed it to the next level. I love both songs, but the remix comes out on top. That's one for the remix. Next up is Maya and The Best of Me, the first single from her sophomore album, Fear of Flying, my favorite Maya album, by the way. And this one was produced by Swizz Beatz. And if you remember Swizz Beatz in this era, 2000, this dude was everywhere. Some of those beats didn't age so well, let's be honest, but this one I think did. I thought this was a good song, and apparently I read somewhere that this beat was originally for DMX. How on earth was this beat for DMX? I know DMX could make anything rugged, but this beat was too cutesy for X. Anyway, worked perfectly for Maya. Jadakiss had a great guest verse. I thought this was dope. But then the remix, and we all know the remix, The Best of Me Part 2 with Jay-Z. Oh man, yes, y'all, Jigga Man be ballin'. Yes, that was produced by Poke and Tone, and it was a completely different vibe, completely different joint. And I know a lot of people really latch on to the remix, but in this one, this is an easy pick for me. I'm going with the original. I think the original beats the remix, and here's why. The remix is dope, but I think Jay overshadows it. Like, we almost remember it as his song, and Maya's almost like singing hooks almost. Jay kills it, but I just like the energy and vibe of the original. It feels more true to the original kind of concept of it. So even though The Best of Me 2 is dope, it has its own feel, can't beat the original to me. I'm giving this one to Maya and Jada. One in the column for the original. Next up is my boy right there, the Notorious B.I.G. and One More Chance. So the original was produced by Puff, and it appeared on the debut album, and it had the vocals of Total doing the Jackson 5 thing. Lord, y'all, this song was nasty. I have gotten a lot of heat from y'all on this channel and on soulandstereo.com for years because I did not give that album 5 stars. Even though it's big, the man who's literally over my shoulder, my GOAT, I don't think it's a 5-star album, and this song is one of the reasons why I never really liked the song. However, we got the remix by Rashad Smith, which samples the bars, got Faith in the background, and it was absolutely on fire in 1995. If you listen to Big's debut, it's hard to find something that's like a radio-friendly single with a couple of exceptions. This was a radio-friendly single. Hold up, voice. Radio-friendly sequel. I got to do vocal rest like Mariah. Anyway, it was so obvious that this was going to be a hit. And it was such a banger. It had just this energy that was soulful, but Biggie had his smoothness going on, Faith going nuts on the hook. The beat was great. Such a great song. And let me give you a little answer to an Ed trivia question next time I come up on Jeopardy when it has a soul and stereo category. What is Ed's favorite song of all time? It is Biggie's One More Chance remix. So you already know what I'm going with this one. This one is 1 point for the remix. Yes, this is a superior remix in every way to the original. Sorry. Look, I'm Biggie's biggest fan. If I'm saying it's got to be facts. All right, next up, we're keeping it in the Junior Mafia family with Lil' Kim and Not Tonight. These are 2 totally different songs, the original and the remix. The original appeared on her hardcore album, was produced by Jermaine Dupri, and I really like this song. I really like it. Now, I can't say what it's about without getting this video pulled off of YouTube. If you know, you know. Let's just say Kim is giving directions to a brother about how she likes her evening activities. We'll leave it at that. However, Google is your friend there, but it really shows how great a storyteller Kim is, and I think that often gets lost. She's really good at telling a story in hip-hop. Some of my favorite songs are just like Money Talks. This one, Aunt Dot, is when she's doing the storytelling thing. It's worked so great. But then we've got the remix, and the remix is the one everyone knows. Samples Cool in the Gang. It's on the Nothing to Lose soundtrack, which is I have back there. I love that soundtrack. And if you cop Lil' Kim's album looking for that version of this one that was on the radio, you would be sorely disappointed. Because you're getting JD on the album. But on the remix, you get Missy, Angie Martinez, which was weird at the time, but still cool. Left Eye, Da Brat, Mary J. Blige in the video. It was truly ladies' night for this. So, this big party track, what do we go with? The party track or Lil' Kim being as nasty as she wants to be? This is tough, but I'm going to give this one to the remix. I think I might personally prefer the original, but I just have to put my biases aside, and I think the remix just might do a little bit more One is a sex education class, the other one is just having fun, and I think they nail it so well. And Kim needed a party starter, so we going with the remix on this one. Next up is Drew Hill and In My Bed. The original was on their debut album, an incredible album, by the way. I gave it 5 stars. Incredible. Produced by Daryl Simmons, and despite the Goldilocks sounding title, it was actually quite good, thanks to Cisco just losing his ever-loving mind over the song. I mean, we need this type of begging and pleading in our music. We're missing this. But the remix flipped it all around. We got Jermaine Dupri. The lyrics are kind of the same, but the tempo is so different. It turned it from a kind of like radio, like quiet storm jam to something that was straight up for the clubs. Completely different vibe, but a vibe that I dig. So I am going to go with the original. This is an easy pick for me, and it's all because of the performance. The remix is cool. It's got that groove to it, but it's not as iconic as the original. Cisco just killed it. Gotta go original. Next up is SWV and Anything, the original song on their debut album. So mellow, just so you hear the finger snaps and the little water puddle sounds you used to always hear in 90s R&B. So atmospheric, so serene, so beautiful, so dope. But then we got the remix on Above the Rim, which is one of the best soundtracks of all time, by the way. And man, this is at way more energy. Do 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 do. It was just so crazy and so much fun. And we got a bunch of stars from the Wu-Tang Clan on an R&B album, which may have been the first time we heard them on like an R&B track. So that was history in the making right there. And it was so crazy to hear this colliding of worlds together, because it seemed like an odd mix, but on paper, it worked. It just worked so well. I love the original, but again, there's another easy one. That remix is just stuff of legend. This is another one for the remix. They nailed it. Next up is Usher and Love in This Club. And this was the lead single from Here I Am, aka the album that y'all didn't listen and made Usher give up on R&B and then blah, blah, blah. It was such a mess. The album was good. Actually, the album was okay. It's one of those albums that at the time people said it was garbage. It was not garbage. But then years later, people said it was incredible. It was not incredible. It was in the middle. Anyway, y'all didn't give the album any credit. He got mad, started doing other stuff. Oh, and then R&B just went downhill for a few years. But anyway, besides that, we got Love in the Club for his single, produced by Polo the Don. Young Jeezy was on it. It was an okay radio track. I thought it was a good lead single for what he was going for. It was fine. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it worked. Then we got the remix, which was on the album. It had Lil Wayne, Beyonce, slowed down tempo, had the kind of stylistic vibe to this one. I liked it. I liked it because we got the interplay between Beyonce and Usher a bit more. And then this is Wayne in 2008. So this is Wayne at his peak powers. He had all his Super Saiyan energy at this point. So it was a great meshing of the three worlds. And you know what? Wayne hadn't completely lost all of his brain cells yet. His brain cells weren't made up of droplets of lean at this point. So between his energy, Usher's already fantastic vocals, Beyonce being Beyonce, this was a great triple threat. I gotta go with the remix on this one. Far, far superior. Another win for the remix. Next up is 112 Only You. And again, we get 2 completely different tracks on this one, y'all, which I love. I love that we get different sounds. So the first track, we get 112 dancing around in that white linen and that giant, whatever that thing was, a theater or something. And it was a very R&B record. Then we get the remix with them driving around in Times Square. Big and Mace, they got on their athletic gear, and they got the Casing and Sunshine Band sample going on. Completely different. We got a silky smooth R&B record, and we got the hip hop lace joint. And really, they're equally dope. I could go with either one depending on which day of the week, but this day of the week, I don't want to call this a draw, but that's cheating, and y'all gonna call me out for cheating. Let's go with the original. And I just say that because I've never been the biggest Mace fan. Sorry. To me, he's like the grandfather of all mumble rappers. He's not bad on this song, but I don't love him. I just like the energy of the original. Again, you ask me tomorrow, I might say remix. We're going to go with the original right here. And that's good. We need some more originals on the board because the remixes are killing the originals. So one in the column for the originals. They need it. All right, up next is Ashanti and Foolish. Ashanti's big debut single, and man, look, Ashanti was that girl in 2002. You can't deny it. I have all the opinions I have on Ashanti, but you can't deny her success in 2002. The original song, and here's what I like about this. Look how peep game on this one. The original song samples the bars, the same sample that Biggie used for One More Chance, what we talked about earlier. Kind of became the foundation for a great single. Then we got the remix called Unfoolish. I hate that title, by the way. Unfoolish. Come on now. That borrowed from another Biggie song, Loving You Tonight. Loving You Tonight. That's what they called it on our radio. Biggie featuring that man. You know that man. The man that's in jail. Not that man that's in jail. The other man that's in jail. We got a lot of 90s R&B dudes in jail. Anyway. Both songs are great, but both songs are different. Which one is better? Well, historically, you might want to lean to the original because it's such a foundational song for Ashanti. But I think I like the remix because if you listen to the story of the remix, it's all about redemption. It's like she realized she was being foolish. Now she's unfoolish. I hate that word. But she's got a clearer mind, and I like that she uses another Biggie sample to tell that story. So I like that she closed the arc here on this one. So I'm going to give this one to the remix. But again, it's another close call. You can make a strong argument for the original. I'm going with the remix. All right, up next are my boys, Clips and Grinding. So in 2002, Clips dropped the song So Great, one of the greatest beats of all time with grinding. I mean, if there was a table in front of you, there was a wall, if there's a little brother, you're doing that grinding beat on somebody. You can't help it. It is so great and such a classic song and classic production. So it is hard to beat this, but it did spawn a lot of remixes. Of course, they didn't stray too far from the beat because the beat's too iconic. So we got several remixes. We're not going to talk about the dance hall remix here. We'll talk about the regular remix, which had Nori, Birdman, and Lil Wayne, plus new verses from Pusha and Malice. So I was all for it. It was like, yo, new verses on this song. And it's so funny to look back that Lil Wayne and Clips being on a song together, knowing what we know today. Which the days of peacetime before there was war and little Canadians that we were arguing over. But again, this is a time when everybody was still cool and it was good to have them all on one track. So this was good. Pusha and Mal, of course, they were dope. Then we got Lil Wayne, who was not quite the mixtape king yet, but he was getting a lot better as an artist. So he sounded good on this. Nori was fine. He was Nori. Birdman could have been left at the studio because he was a goofball as usual, talking about his rims and whatever. So we didn't need him. So to me, the remix was a little extraneous. Cannot come close to the original. This is an easy win for the original. Just too many cooks in the kitchen. If it was just the Clips and Wayne, maybe Fabulous or somebody like that, it might have worked better. But it was a little bit of a sounds clash. Plus Birdman. So that's a no. All right, next up is Rich Boy, and we gonna throw some D's on it. Throw some D's on it. I love this track. And it's so funny we're talking about this track because I want to clear something up with y'all. There's this thing going around where it's like, I keep hearing the whispers that I am not a fan of Southern hip hop. That is not at all true. Now, obviously, I love my lyrical miracles, as y'all say, the rapidy rap. We all know that I like that. And a lot of times, yeah, that is more East Coast centered, but there's some great storytelling in the South. It's a disservice to say that there isn't. There's great storytelling in the West, the Midwest, East Coast. Everybody's doing their thing. So it's not that I don't like it at all. I love it. The only thing I don't like is trash. And this song is not trash thanks to that beat, that production, that switch sample. I call my name. I call your name. Such a great sample, such a great beat. And Rich Boy just rides this thing so smooth. That's why it's a great song. But the remix ups the ante, sort of like the Clips remix that we talked about a little bit earlier, because you got Rich Boy, you got The Game, you got Andre 3000, you got Nelly and Murphy Lee, you got Jim Jones. Everybody's on this thing. It was like somebody put Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the random select. And these are all the characters that have come up. And while I don't like such a hodgepodge of random rappers all the time, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as we talked about in the clip song, I think it works here. And the main reason for me is because Andre 3000's verse is so freaking good that it kind of overshadows some of the weaker Murphy Lee silliness that we hear. So to me, this is a big, big win for the remix. If nothing else, giving it to Andre 3000. And stop saying I don't like Southern rappers. That's just dumb. All right, next up is Nas and Made You Look. Now, we don't talk enough about Nas's Godson album. To me, it's one of his best albums of all time. And I don't know, it's weird. We just don't talk about that one enough. That was a great album. It was coming off of Stillmatic. It was around the time of the Lost Tapes. So it got love at the time, but for some reason, it's just not in conversations today. And it should be. It's a great album. And the biggest single from that, I think, was Made You Look. Well, at least it's one of the most memorable singles, if not the biggest. And I loved it because it was just one of those street bangers from Salam Remy. It was so dope. But as we always do with the remixes, we up the stakes and we up the ante. So we had Nas on the remix. We had Jadakiss, which seems like a good fit. And then a surprising addition and Ludacris. Now, this is early 2000s. Luda probably was very new on the scene. He maybe had 1 or 2 albums out, but he was hot. He was hot in the streets. And as we talked about a little bit earlier with Rich Boy, he was one of these Southern rappers that people always painted in this bubble of being like a joke rapper or party rapper or just a radio rapper. He can't spit with real MCs. Oh, he can't? Oh, he can't? Because he certainly went nuts on the remix, and he did great. So it was a real coming out party for him and a great way to cement himself as an artist. That said, as far as which ones I prefer, I think I might prefer the original. And that's not a shot at Luda, not a shot at Jada. But I think I like the original because it was a little bit more focused. It was this Nas energy, 24/7 nonstop. And whereas I appreciated what Luda did, what Jada did, and it was a great showcase for Jada, for Luda specifically on the remix, I just felt like the original just had more focus and energy for me. So this is another close call. This one goes to the original. Original's catching up with the remixes. Watch out now. Up next is Mobb Deep and Quiet Storm. In 1999, Havoc and P gave us hip hop heads more of what we wanted. Another dark, haunting banger. Vintage Mobb Deep. That's what this was, and it was a great track on its own. But the remix just slightly tinkered with the formula, just slightly. We put Lil' Kim on the hook, so she was singing the hook this time. Same hook, she was just doing the hook. And then she got her own voice. Her own verse. So remember, at this point specifically, Kim was just kind of seen as like the glossy rapper. Oh, the girl that always talks about sex. But again, as we talked about Not Tonight, we forget that she can be gully and gritty as anybody else. And she was so fiery on this verse. It's one of her best verses ever. And it was so dope. It gave it a completely different type of energy while maintaining the original vibe. To me, that's the mark of a great remix, and that's why the remix beats the original this time around. All right, up next is My Cousin Chris and Deuces. This is another guy, if you listen to the internet, oh, you hate him so much. Player, I'm too busy. I got too much going on in my life to sit around hating people. Like, that's what bored people do. I got stuff going on. I don't hate the man at all. I hate that he can't make good albums anymore. That's what I hate. But this one was good. This is a great single. I really love this single. It was one of my favorite singles from him. Great production from Kevin McCall. It had McCall and Tyga, of all people, on the song as well as guests. And while I'm not big on Tyga, they both did a decent job. I thought this was great. I love the production. I love it. I love it. Then the remix. Oh my gosh, the remix. The remix. At this point, Chris is just on the remix. He's just singing the hook because we got, listen to this lineup. We got Drake, T.I., Kanye, Fabulous, Rick Ross, and Andre 3000. Like, can you imagine getting that lineup in 2026? Even back then, even 2010, that lineup was insane. So that was such a lineup of like first ballot Hall of Famers on this track, and just Chris just singing on the hook, and everybody else is just spitting about how much their women problems are killing them. but it works so well. And once again, Andre steals the show with the best verse. But I like Fab's, I like Kanye's, I like everybody. T.I., everybody went really hard on this over such a great beat. And that's what I miss. I miss that era when people would drop a dope song or a dope instrumental and then everybody would just flow over it. So much fun. And this is one of the chances that this happened. This is an easy one for me. A big win for the remix. This one went quadruple platinum on my iPod Nano. I need to dig out my iPod and listen to that one. Great, 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 great remix. And now to wrap things up, we come to one of the most recognizable remixes of all time, Method Man and Mary J. Blige with All I Need. But first, let's talk about the original, because the original was a completely different vibe. All I Need was on Method Man's debut Tequila album, and it was super gritty, super stripped down. It was a very touching love song, but it was also a street banger all the way. It was as gritty and dark and Timberlands on pissy staircases as you can get. It was so dope. And I know Wu fans will come for my throat, but even then, I always felt like something was missing from it. I felt like something could take it to another level, even back then. And we got that. We got that with the added ingredient. The missing ingredient was Mary J. Blige. And that gave us two versions. We got the Razor Sharp remix, which is the one that was on the video that everybody knows. And then we got the Puff remix, which is the one they played on the radio, at least in my area. The one with the Biggie sample on it. And that one had slightly tweaked beat, just a little bit, even a little bit more radio friendly than the video version. I actually like the Puff version the best, so we'll talk about that as the remix. Honestly, we can match them both because they aren't really that different. But the point is, when we get down to it, you have the very gritty, stripped down version versus the very radio friendly version. And I know, because I lived it. I lived in the area where radio was bad. If you made it for the radio, it was bad. I never bought that mentality, because to me, if you can add an extra layer on something for the storytelling, that helps. And I think having that feminine voice really helped carry the story for what Meth was doing. And it really felt like a man and his lady really coming together, as opposed to just a guy telling his story. To me, that's why, without question, whether we're talking Razor Sharp or the Bad Boy Puff remix, it is a superior song. Mary J., Method Man, those names go together like peanut butter and jelly, because that remix is all we need to get by. You see what I did there? All right, that's it. We're done. D-Ross, let's show the good people the final total here. What are we working with? There it is. It's pretty definitive. The remixes blew the originals out of the water. But again, that's just my opinion. What do you think? Do you think I should have given more love to the originals? Or was I too nice? Did the remixes actually annihilate the originals? You let me know in the comments below. Let me know which ones you think. I already know what the Wu-Tang fans are going to do. The hardcore Wu fans, I know they're coming for me for that last one. But that's all there is to that. But that's not all, because do you want a part 2? There are way more than 15 remixes out there. I could be going for a long, long time for this one. So let me know if you want to see more of this, and we can definitely drop some more coming up very, very soon. It's all of what y'all want. This edition of the Soul and Stereo Sessions is a wrap. I hope no one ever tries to remix me with some whacker versions, because you got to rock with the original if you can't do better than the remixes. Yeah, trust me, that ain't never happening. Play on, players.